Gene Silva's taking on Diego Lopes this weekend, and he's the Fighting Nerd's last hope, the only undefeated one left. Can he turn the tide and give the Fighting Nerds some hope? We'll find out. I'm going to go through all the fights, give you my prediction, my breakdown, why I think the fighter I choose will win. Last card, I missed the main event. All right, whatever. You can't win them all, but I still get the majority of the picks right. And before anyone comes back to this post and tries to clown on me after the card takes place, leave your picks now, so you got to stand on them. If you have the money to spend, you should be spending it on this because you're going to be getting rich. Diego Lopes versus Gene Silva, I think, is a very close fight. I'm not going to BS you and say it's not, because Diego Lopes just went 5 rounds with a Volk. And no matter the result, going 5 rounds with someone of that caliber is impressive. But he gets hit way too much for my liking against someone like Gene Silva, who hits like a truck. If Gene Silva touches him on the chin, bro, he's going to sleep. And let's not forget, Diego Lopes has 7 losses. He has taken plenty of losses before, and he probably will take a couple more. Looking at Gene Silva being a favorite is kind of crazy. I mean, we can go into the grappling. Obviously, Diego Lopes has a slight grappling advantage, but if Gene Silva's defending all of Bryce Mitchell's takedown attempts and submitting him, I think he'll be able to defend at least most of Diego Lopes's takedown attempts. Not to mention that when it does get to the ground, Gene Silva can shoot right back up. I've actually gone back and forth on this because when it first got announced, I was immediately Gene Silva just because he has that X factor, the power. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, Diego Lopes just got a 5-round experience in with one of the greatest fighters of all time. And I think that would play a big role. But then I remembered again, Gene Silva has been on a tear. He's on a massive win streak. Momentum's huge. He's taken less losses, less damage taken. He's cleaner, gets hit less, and has been looking phenomenal lately. Even if you look at the striking, like I said, Diego Lopes gets hit a lot, and Gene Silva's just way faster. The Melsik-Bagdasaryan knockout, people write Bagdasaryan off, but he was an elite striker, and Gene Silva made easy work of him. Like, that guy was from a kickboxing promotion or something. I forget what it was. Some random third-party thing, but Gene Silva made him look easy. Bryce Mitchell knocked him down. Whereas Diego Lopes almost got beat by a short-notice Dan Ige. He gassed out in the third. His cardio is not the best. Yes, he went 5 with the Volk, but I'm still not sold. We haven't seen Gene's cardio either, but I'm going to estimate that it's average. And I don't think one will have a huge cardio or pace advantage over the other. In fact, the way Lopes fights, if he fights like a bat out of hell in the first round or two, he will gas. And Gene Silva's going to be there to knock his head off when he does get tired and his hands start dropping. Even before that, even when he's fresh, his hands still drop and he's getting caught on the chin. His best win was Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega just got 50-45 by Aljo on the feet. It wasn't Aljo grappling heavy. It was Aljo on the feet. 50-45. So I really thought about that too. And I was like, I don't know if I can pick Lopes. He's slower. Worse defense. Better grappling. Worse striking. Less power. Although his power is good. Gene Silva is just so defensively sound. I don't see him getting caught. Of course, it's in the realm of possibilities, but I would go out on a limb and say it's not probable. So I think Gene Silva is the easy pick to make here. A lot of money to be made if you're a betting man. Put some money on Gene Silva. He's a decently sized underdog for whatever reason. Maybe because people associate the fighting nerds with L's lately, which fair enough. But I'm telling you, Gene Silva would not be a bad pick, especially given the odds. It really is kind of a 50-50 though. I think it'll be close. If I were to make a prediction on how the fight goes, I'd say a decision. 3-2 Gene Silva, but it could most certainly go 3-2 Lopes. I do not see Lopes finishing Silva though. If someone gets finished, I think it's going to be Silva finishing Lopes. Rob Font is a slight favorite against David Martinez. Again, slam that money line. Like, he's going to piece him up. He's beating people like Kyler Phillips, who's 10 times faster than Martinez. Rob Font's not going to be much slower than Martinez, and even if he is, he can deal with the fast guys, as we saw with Kyler Phillips. Giannis he beat. Who was he lost to? Figgy? Corey Sandhagen? Like, bro, come on. David Martinez is going to get mollywopped. He's on short notice, too. Give me a break. Next, we have Jared Gordon versus Rafa Garcia. Again, pick Jared Gordon. He's a little older, yes, but he's only losing to the best of the best, whereas Rafa Garcia hasn't beat anyone. Jared Gordon has good boxing, good wrestling, decent gas. His chin actually isn't as bad as some people say. He beat Paddy Pimblett, who some people think is going to beat Ilya, so take that as you will, but I'm going Jared Gordon. I literally had no clue Gastelum was on this card until like a day or two ago. Why did I not know about this? I'm not sure, but I'm going with Gastelum. He arguably beat Joe Pyfer, which is insane. Probably gained a lot of confidence from that loss. And Dustin Stoltzfus is a lamb sent to the slaughter. The kid's probably from like KSW or something. Give me a break. Kelvin Gastelum's going to chin the poor kid. Santiago Luna versus Quang Lee. You got to go with Quang Lee. Santiago Luna can't even unlock a profile picture yet. So until he does, I'm not picking him. This one's so easy. If you don't pick Hernandez, you're delusional. Diego Ferreira is old. He's coming off a loss. And Hernandez is young, coming off a 3 or 4 win streak. A huge win recently too at UFC 319, which it's crazy. He's already fighting again. But Hernandez is good. Like, every time we've seen a fighter go up, crash down, and then start reviving again while they're still at a reasonable age, it usually pans out well. For example, Charles Oliveira. Career resurgences at a young age almost always prove to be effective. So I think Alexander Hernandez is going to chin the crap out of Diego Ferreira. It's not going to be close. Alexander Hernandez is a lock. Ferreira's older than dirt. Bro, don't try to tell me Ferreira's going to win. I'm very confident in Hernandez. Jose Medina versus Dusko Tordovic. Look, these guys are both runts. They're not UFC level. Jose Daniel Medina got in the UFC because he took a beating and he put, like, I don't know how his Contender Series performance got him there, but either way, he got into the UFC, loses 2 more fights, gets absolutely brutalized by the middleweight Ngannou. And then you got Dusko Tordovic, who has won 1 fight in the UFC, lost all his others. I think he's like 1-4. Kids runts. But I'm going to go with Dusko. It's really honestly a coin flip. Both probably going to get cut here within the next 2 or 3. But I'm going with Dusko. Medina has shown absolutely nothing for me to pick him. Claudio Puelles versus Joaquim Silva. Again, both these kids are runts, but I'm going to go with Puelles. I think he's a bit younger. Actually, let me check that. Yeah, 29 versus 36 at lightweight, bro. Give me Claudio Puelles all day. Also, this guy never fights, so he might be a little ring rusty. But, like, that Dan Hooker fight, that felt like ages ago. That was only 2 fights ago. He's very inactive, but Joaquim Silva's runts. Give me Claudio Puelles all day. Dang, they have the number 2 ranked strawweight fighting on the early prelims. That's crazy, but Tatiana Suarez was hyped up against, was it Zhang Weili? She got smoked. And then Amanda Lemos has fought like everyone. But I'm going to go Suarez. She still has that good wrestling. She just couldn't hold a torch to Zhang Weili. Is that who she fought, or did she fight Valentina? One or the other. I don't really know. But either way, was undefeated going into her last fight, coming off a championship fight. Didn't really impress me. I can't even remember what card he was on. But Lemos, she's going to lose. She's been around the block, old as dirt. Pick Tatiana Suarez. Look, you can laugh at me for not having all the reasonings, but sometimes when you go with your gut, your picks are better than when you dig deep. Like, if digging deep got the picks right, the Weasel would be a trillionaire right now. So you need the best of both worlds. You need some ball knowledge, but you also need to go with your gut here and there. So I'm going with Tatiana Suarez. That's what my gut's telling me. So I'm riding with it. Next, we got Jesus Aguilar versus Luis Gurul. Luis Gurul hasn't impressed me. He's coming off a loss. I don't even think he has a win in the UFC. Jesus does. So I'm going to go with Jesus. I think he's like 1-2 in the UFC, though. So not the most impressive, but we'll see. Reese versus Dumas. Dumas is a big underdog here, but he's going to win. You want to know why? He has like $10 in his bank account right now. If he doesn't win this fight, he's cooked. So he's literally fighting for his life here. If it chokes him deep, he's not going to tap. Because if he taps, he knows that means he's cooked. So I'm going to go with Dumas. I love that dog. Costa versus Correa. Again, Costa, Brazilian flyweights are always cracked. I don't even know where this Alden kid's from, so I'm going to go with Costa. Don't look too deep into that one. Montserrat Rendon versus Alice Pereira. I'm pretty sure Alice Pereira is pretty good, so I'm going to go with her. She has like a lot of finishes or something, but she's young. Lastly, we got Rodrigo Cezinado versus Daniel Donachenko. Daniel's actually from The Ultimate Fighter. He was on Daniel Cormier's team, I believe, and he was pretty good. So I'm going to go with him. Simple as. I don't know Rodrigo, but I know Daniel was pretty good. I don't know how he's in the UFC unless he won The Ultimate Fighter. Or is this like the final bout to decide who gets the UFC contract? It may be. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm going to go with Daniel. He looked pretty good on The Ultimate Fighter from the fights and highlights I saw, so should be a pretty safe pick. Those are my picks for UFC Noche. If you agree, disagree, let me know why in the comments. And I just want to thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.